So I am turning 49 this month, and I cannot believe that it is the last year of my 40s. Now, of course, I get the constant reminder from all of my family. It is always the all of the good jokes, right? Well, and for some, I've been getting, the jokes in the comments for quite a few years. I've been getting the 50 birthday cards for quite some time. I've been getting the 55 birthday cards for a while. Like my baby sister, I think she gave me you're turning 50 birthday card probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Nonetheless, for me, I really have been embracing every single moment for every year that I am getting older, and that's a lot. That's a mouthful there because that's not always the case as we get older, especially for women. Um, we look at the fact that here I am at almost 49. Next year I'll be 50, and realistically, that is what, half a century, right? Now, like I said, of course, it comes with, like, all the good jokes, all the good jokes. But like I said, it's all good. It's all good because I'm embracing every moment. I'm looking forward to every day, every moment, every year, because all of those come with new possibilities, new opportunities, new things to look forward to, right? Um, and so what I do is every time during this year or this time frame, right, I actually take some time to set some new goals. What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do with the upcoming year? Now, granted, we all have our goals of like 5-year, 10-year plans and all of that. But for me, it's what is it that I want to do in this next year, so that when I reflect upon the year, I can look back and say, okay, I've done this, and then I've learned this, and now I can take these things and kind of move on to the next, right? Now, granted, most people will do this in the calendar year. We do this in the calendar year from January to December. But for me, because it's my birth month, it's an opportunity for me to kind of look at, okay, as I am getting older each year, how am I reflecting upon my life and using my life to the best of my ability, right? How am I living my life? So it's a good time to reflect, and it's a time frame to be more intentional. Take a very intentional approach to evaluate and assess myself and my life. Now, this is where I can kind of use everything that I've learned and then kind of take that and set a pathway forward so that I can, again, see if I am reaching those milestones to do what I have desired to do with my time and with my life, in the next year, right? Because, life is a journey. I say it all the time, life is a journey. And it's really about embracing this journey that we call life. We want to, embrace every opportunity that we have and not take anything for granted. And sometimes we just kind of want to embrace all the good things, and then we just want to throw everything else away. But when we do that, we kind of miss out on a lot, right? And so it changes our perspective on how we are embracing what may come. And it changes our perspective on the future. So when we're looking and being more intentional in our reflection, it helps us to think about things like, are we happy, eager, and excited about the future, knowing that, our past has actually prepared us for this time and the time to come? Or are we dreading what is to come because we are still wrapped up in our situations and circumstances that we have experienced, and so therefore we're kind of losing hope for what our future is going to look like? I talk to a lot of women um, in different ages. And I always find it interesting that when I have conversations with women and things about age come up, um, as it pertains to goals and things that we all want to achieve, it's always surprisingly common that there is this thread, this common thread about aging. And this thread really is fear and doubt or loss of hope, right? Fear, doubt, and loss of hope. And there's all these questions that kind of come up, whether people realize it or don't realize it. And a lot of it has to do with, what am I going to do when the children leave home? What is that going to look like? For those that have children, right? What is that going to look like when the children leave home? Because the children have always been their world. The children has always been their absolute life and their being. And so they don't know what's going to happen to them in their life when the children leave, because they haven't set a life or a course for themselves, because everything has been about taking care of the kids, what the kids want, what the kids need, what the kids' future is going to look like. And so they've never kind of looked at, okay, well, where do I fit into this? It's always been, I'm just mom, and that's just kind of how it's been. The other thing is, what is the second half of my life going to look like, right? So these stages that we go through, whether it's the teenage stage, the young adult stage, the midlife, and then older. So each stage that we go through, what are these different stages in our lives going to look like? How does life evolve for us? Are we able to elevate, right, or continue to increase in our opportunities and our goals? Or do we feel like there's just kind of a dead end or a cutoff, right? So we kind of look at life like we're going and we get to a point, and then after that it just kind of drops off, or that's just kind of like where life ends. And I think it's interesting because when you talk to sometimes, well, when I've talked to sometimes young women who are maybe like in their 20s, 30s, right? There's always this anxiety about aging, and I don't really get what that is. I mean, I do, right? But if you listen, we hear things about, coming from the youngest of the young, right? We hear things about getting old, right? There's this talk about getting old, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 30s, and, as if 30 is old, as if 30 is like 80, if 30 is like 90, or if like 30 is like 100. It's like 30 is this like old age, and that, life is like somewhat over or almost over. That's like halfway through your life. And that there's like not much more to live for once you hit a certain point. And it's even like, if you're going to hit your 40s, as if like, wow, I'm almost in my 40s, what am I going to do? And I'm so much older now. And yes, you are older, but man, like there's so much more life to live. That is not the end of the road or getting close to the end of the road. And so it's like this odd perception of what it looks like. Now, some of this sometimes has to do with the fact that perhaps some of these younger people, unfortunately, are taking care of their parents, who we have this reverse role, which we should not have in our society. But we have this reverse role where, some people, some adults who are my age and older, have kind of put this burden on our youth, to where we've raised our kids to be our best friends. We've raised our youth to grow up and take care of us, which puts a very, very heavy burden upon them. So therefore, they're having to take care of things that they shouldn't have to take care of at such an early age, and so it gives them a lot of angst, right? But that's a conversation for another day. The point is that we want to get to a place where we understand that 30s, 40s, and even 50s, life is not over, and that we can still continue to age gracefully, and that there is so much more life to live if we are open to embracing the years to come. We have to get to a point to where our perspective changes, so that we look forward to the coming years. Our perspective definitely has to change. So listen, as years go by, there's so much still ahead. It's all about how you approach it. Um, you have to actually live. You have to live the life you've been given. And living the life that you've been given is not about making so much noise that you're really trying to drown out all the things that's going on to pretend stuff isn't actually happening. And sometimes we do that, right? So when we turn 40 or we turn 50, we have these like super big parties, and we make a lot of noise about it because it's a way of drowning out the reality of what's happening in our life, and so we don't want to face that reality. But when the noise stops, when the party is over, we still have to kind of go back and face that reality. And so that's not really what we want to be. We want to be able to have this even flow, so that we can embrace all the years to come, and be joyous in that. And we want to be able to embrace, everything that life has to offer. We want to be open-minded to all the possibilities that await us in every aspect and every stage of our lives. A couple months ago, I had the speaking engagement, and I was sharing with some women this kind of soft launch that I was doing on the single mom network that I have. And now, if you're a single mom, you definitely should look into this launch that the single mom network that we have. So I'll let you know about that. But when I go out and speak, I don't talk about my age, and so the fact that I'm actually doing this video is kind of a big deal, right? But I don't normally just go out and talk about my age because I just don't. But I did share that, my son, who was 27, was going to be graduating soon with his doctorate of veterinary medicine. Now, it was important to share that because I too am a single mom, and so I was sharing that in context because helping them to understand certain ways in which we influence our children and support them into fulfilling what I call their God-given dream, right? And so, here my son is now fulfilling his dream and still continuing to do so. Now, afterwards, after everything was said and done, I had a young woman. She came up to me, very, very shy, very polite, and she asked me very privately, about my age, because my son is 27. And she said, hey, she said, you said your son's 27. May I ask how old you are? And so I told her, I said, I'm 48. And she said, oh, well, do you what makeup do you wear? She's like, your skin is really pretty. And so I said, it's a compliment. So I told her, I said, well, thank you. I said, but I said, I don't really have a lot of makeup on. But she asked if I had a lot of makeup on. And she's like really into, really looking in. And I thought it was kind of funny. And then she said, do you do Botox? And I said, no, I don't do Botox. And she was serious. But she's very kind. She's very polite. But I laughed, and I laughed because as we had this conversation, and I said, no, I don't have a lot of makeup on, and I don't have Botox. And it's not against anyone who does that. It was just a conversation between us, right? And so I laughed about it. And so the point of that was, it was like, real talk is, they say that what you put in your body, reflects what you carry on the outside of your body. What you put in your body reflects what you carry on the outside of your body. And yes, food-wise, but also everything else, right? Your surroundings, what you put in your mind, what you put in your space, all of that really does impact what you carry on the exterior. So if you're walking around stressed out, full of anxiety, have toxic relationships, if you have limited mindset, if you're fear of the future, you're just fearful, It does. It weighs on you very heavily. But that stuff eats you from the inside, and therefore you do see the impact on the outside. And so it is something to very much so consider, because what we do is we lack peace, joy, calm, and gratitude. What we need is more peace, joy, calm, and gratitude. And unfortunately, especially nowadays with so much going on, we are in a state to where we carry much more fear, loneliness, chaos, calamity, and disappointment, right? And we walk around with that very deep inside of us, and all that hurt and everything else, it resonates, right? And it's really just kind of tearing you up from the inside. And we don't realize the damage that it's doing on the inside of us, and it starts showing on the outside. All of your pain and all of your struggles, the things that we don't heal from, we carry it with us day to day. And that's not what we want to do. We need to get to a place to where we stop moving on and we actually start going through the process of healing, because we carry these pains. We carry these pains from past hurts and disappointments and trauma and struggles. We carry all of that, right? Because what we tend to do, especially as women, what we tend to do is we move on. I had a conversation with someone recently, and we talked about this, and she shared and this young woman shared with me, certain things that she didn't want to do, and she said, well, I move on. And I said, well, here's the thing about moving on. When we move on from things like guilt and sorrow and shame, and loss, and pain and suffering and all of that, we move on. We don't get healed, right? What we tend to do is we tend to just carry it with us. We're just literally moving from place to place, situation to situation, circumstance to circumstance, and situation to situation, and we're just carrying that stuff with us. And then every time we move on, we're just kind of taking the buildup with us into each place, each circumstance, each relationship that we go into, because we've never actually healed. And we try to build families, we try to build relationships and businesses, and for some people it's ministries, and we don't realize that the impact that we're having in the lives or on the lives of others that we come in contact with, as we call ourselves moving on, we don't realize that we are impacting them in a very, very negative way, because we have not gone through the process of healing and gaining the tools we need to live and embrace life on our journey. And then what we do is, from the outside, we are impacting those individuals, and we become external influences, and then therefore we are implanting seeds into them. And so we implant our hopelessness, our fears, our pains, our guilt, our shame, our sorrow, our anger, our frustration, all of those things, and even how we cover them up with our fake happiness, our fake peace. We still instill that into other people, and it very much so has an impact on how they see themselves, how they feel about themselves, the image that they have, their identity, and how they set goals for themselves, and how they see the future through their eyes. And so it becomes a cycle that we cannot, that we have difficulties breaking out of. And so it starts with each individual going through what we call a self-reflection of, well, how are we seeing ourselves? Who are we? And what it is, how we're seeing our own future, and where does a lot of this come from? Has it come from a lot of exterior influences so that we can reevaluate and reassess and then make a new game plan. It will change how we see our future. Now, for me, here's the thing. I get it, because it's not been easy. It's not been an easy road for me, this whole journey called life. I've had my share of calamity. I've had my share of, enduring pain and suffering. My story is public, and throughout time, maybe I'll share some more. But, more importantly, what I have is I have peace. I have peace, love, joy, hope, faith, and gratitude. That's what I have. And that's what I carry with me as I continue to move and travel this road, or travel this journey of life. So that, as I continue to embrace life, I can live and I can experience all the things that come my way. I can look forward to whatever is coming up, and the days, the weeks, months, or years to come, without aches, without fear, because when I carry these things, this is what it looks like, right? I'm grateful for my past, because in my past, I've had opportunities to experience life. Yes, I've had challenges. It hasn't been perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect. But in all of the things that have happened, good, bad, and indifferent, I've had lessons. I can take the lessons that I've learned from every situation, every circumstance, every relationship, even the things where I have felt hurt and pain. But I can learn from every situation, every circumstance, and all of those lessons that I take away something intentionally, then I allow those lessons to help prepare me for my future. I allow those lessons to help prepare me for my future. And then I have peace knowing that I am equipped with what I need to overcome whatever obstacles that I can now face. Because when we are a child, we have certain things happen, and as we grow, and now we learn to use the things that we've learned, we apply those things. That's wisdom, right? So we gain knowledge, and then we apply them, and then we gain wisdom. So that means as we grow, we gain wisdom. And so, now I have the wisdom to be able to apply what I've learned, and therefore I have the peace to be able to travel throughout these stages and life transitions as I continue to live the life that has been given to me. I know that without a doubt that I am loved. But here's the thing. We often seek love from people. And if we don't feel that we are loved or accepted by people, then we feel rejected, right? And so that means that we are trying to live a life according to what people want us to live by. But when you know that you are loved by God, then you tend to look at things a little differently, because then you don't live for people anymore. And so if people want you to do things or not do things, then becomes your new best friend, because you're not doing it for the acceptance of them. You can call them out on it if you choose to do so, but you only do so when it's necessary to do so. You look at life differently. But you understand that with God, knowing that you are loved by God, you know that He will guide you on this path or on this journey called life. And then you have faith in who He is. You have faith in who He is. And here's the difference. Sometimes we have faith in God for what He can do, not for who He is. And it's a difference, because we try to treat God like He's a magic genie, and that's not it. And sometimes when we don't see things happen, or God doesn't give us what we want and the time frame that we want it, then we tend to lose faith, right? Because we are waiting for God to show up and give us something when we want it. But we have to have faith in who He is, because when you have faith in who He is, then that means you're not just waiting for things to happen. You know that because He said, then His word is always true because of who He is. You know that He will provide because of who He is. And so you're just not, you start growing in the right relationship with God. And therefore you will be less tempted. You'll be less tempted to start believing in false gods and putting your hope and trust in the wrong things, right? Because you start building a stronger foundational relationship with God, your Creator. All right. Now, because I know that God loves me, and because I know, and because I have faith in who He is, I also therefore know that the joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and I will continue to have that strength today and for the rest of my years. Today and for the rest of my years to come. No one or nothing can take that away from me. No one or nothing can take that away from me. I can choose to give it away, but no one can take it away unless I allow them to do so. So these things are very, very important, and this is why we should all take the time to do a little bit of self-reflection, because for me, as I have these things and as I know these things, no one or nothing can change that for me. And because no one or nothing can change that for me, then I am not anxious about my future. I am not fearful about my future. I am not fearful about growing older. I am not fearful about what my days will come, about what they will look like. And I am actually excited. I am excited about what the future holds, because it can only be great. It can only be great knowing what I know and trusting what I trust, right? So I do my self-reflection so that I can continue to stay on this path and embrace life in this way. And so I wanted to share this. I wanted to share this with you all because I want to encourage you to go on your own self-reflection. You can wait till the beginning of January, but here's the thing. We are in a new season. This is the second half of the year. Wow. The second half of 2023. And, you can go on your own self-reflection as well. You can join me in the self-reflection. And, when you do this self-reflection, intentional self-reflection, you'll become more self-aware of who you are and what you need on this journey called life, so that you too can have peace, love, joy, hope, faith, and gratitude, and be less fearful, more hopeful about the future. Now, when you do your self-reflection, here's the thing. Perhaps you'll realize that you need to detox. You'll need to detox from relationships and situations. And you'll realize that those situations and relationships have been kind of weighing you down. Perhaps you will realize that maybe you just need to get a better grasp of your day. Start your day off on a different foot, so that you can have a better outcome to your day. Whatever it is that you need to do, you just remember that this is personal for you. It's personal for you. So make it personal. Do your own self-reflection. And what I did was I created a self-reflection workbook. You can actually download it. There's the link. You can download it. And it's a really, really nice workbook. It's very colorful, lots of questions and prompts in it. Try to make it as very engaging as possible to make you want to do the self-reflection. And so go through that. And if you want the actual booklet, then I will actually send you a copy of the booklet. We'll have it bound for you as well, because we have actual copies. So here's the thing: whatever you decide to do, it's your choice. It's your choice, because this is personal. This is personal. It's your journey. It's your journey. And you need to do whatever you need to do in order for you to get yourself on track to have the life that you want, and get what you want out of life. After all, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So do a self-reflection. I'll be here. Get the copy, download it if you choose to do so. If you want a copy shipped to you, you can click that link and we'll ship you a copy as well. But do the reflection, do a self-assessment, and get what you need so that you can embrace this journey called life. Because here's the thing: you have to do what's best for you. No stress, because here we are aging